First of all, we want to thank you guys so much for being here. I'm Leah.
And I'm Megan.
And this is BiblioBites. Before we get started, we'd like to give a little bit of a disclaimer. Just that we will have samples at the very end, and all of that is prepared beforehand. We both have our food safety
handler cards.
So we try our best to abide by those. You know, we wash our hands, wear gloves, things like that. And everything is prepared in a home kitchen. So that's just kind of a disclaimer for you guys. So
you won't be eating anything that we prepare today.
Yes, everything we prepare is not legally allowed to be eaten here. So just so you guys kind of are aware of that up front.
Yeah. But we do have samples for you, and we're going to have a lot of fun showing you the different boards. And we also have a couple sheets that we're going to pass around of different boards that we've made in the past, just to kind of give you some fun ideas.
So we'll kind of go through them really quick, just a quick example. This is just kind of a basic charcuterie board that we've done here for one of these. So this will be the first one. I'll give this to you guys on the end here. The next one we have was a candy cane one that we did for a Christmas event. There's that. So we'll pass that one along as well. And then this was a Thanksgiving turkey one that we did. So there's that. And then last but not least is our Christmas tree, which we're going to show you today. So there's that.
And we are both employees at the library, so we're not professional chefs, we wish. But everything that we've learned from making charcuterie boards, we've learned from books at the library, so you too can be an expert about this by checking out books from the library. So we do have some books over here that are different charcuterie books and just like holiday books for holiday recipes. So when we're done, feel free to grab one of those books and check them out if you'd like to.
Yes.
But
we'll go ahead and just get started.
Yeah.
So the first thing we're going to do is, Megan can tell us more about it, but we're going to do our wreath board today.
Yeah, so we're going to do two different ones, a wreath and then a tree. So how many people have made charcuterie boards before? A lot of people. Okay.
Very cool.
And I tell people, if you've made a tray with meat and cheese, you've made a charcuterie board. So everybody has probably done it. But I have this really cool board that looks like a wreath. And I did get this at Target last season. I've seen them again this season, and they're really cute. This was a splurge that I bought for myself because I love charcuterie boards. But I couldn't use it for a while because it was holiday themed, and I got it after Christmas. So now I've been using it a lot this season. But we're going to start just by kind of laying out the basics of our board. So we always tell people to start with kind of your biggest items first. And if you have any like little bowls or anything that you're going to put dips in, that's a bigger thing to start with as well. So I have this little bowl that I'm just going to lay out kind of where I want it to go on my board. I'll put it at the top actually. And then we start with kind of our bigger things like big cheeses, big meats, and just kind of get an idea of how you want to lay it out. You can always change it, but starting with the big things helps you kind of know where to put things. So I have a big cheese, and so I'm using a Boursin cheese. Has anybody had Boursin cheese before? It's so good. It's kind of like a flavored cream cheese almost. But seriously, it's so good. You can just eat it with crackers. I've made stuffed mushrooms with it that are really good. This one is shallot and chive flavor. They also have a really good like garlic herb flavor that I really like. And we do get most everything at Fry's. They do sell these at Fry's. But a tip is that you can get a 3-pack at Costco, and it's an even better deal.
Makes it really like a lot cheaper.
And then you have even more cheese, so it can't be bad. And this one, I really don't cut it. We are going to have a mixture of harder cheeses and softer cheeses, and this is a really soft cheese. So I just put it on the board, and then you can put a little knife, a little thing to spread it with. People even sometimes just have crackers and just grab some with their cracker. It's whatever you're comfortable with. But I'm truly just going to stick it on the board, and that's it.
We have a pepper jack cheese over here. This is just a basic one we got. If you guys saw it, it's just going to be the Kroger brand. And I'm just going to cut them up into cubes. So I'm going to start with just slices, and then I'm going to cube them from here. So
Leah is helping me with my prep over here. And another thing we like to think about besides all the sizes is like shape, color, and texture with your charcuterie board. So we like to use different colors of cheese. Like sometimes it's fun to have a yellow cheese and a white cheese. It's fun to have like a lighter meat and a darker meat, lighter crackers and darker crackers. So just think about variety in your board. And I usually tell people to start with like 2 or 3 different meats and cheeses and types of crackers. So that's kind of a good way to start. This board doesn't have a middle, so it's actually not super big. So it also depends on the size of your board. It depends on how many people you're serving. We usually say about an ounce of cheese per person. So that's kind of just a way to kind of estimate when you're buying. But a lot of times you set these out as an appetizer, and so I will refill it throughout the night. And if it is just an appetizer, people aren't going to eat a ton. So just kind of gauge it with your audience.
Another thing to keep in mind too is like the ones we're doing today, because they're holiday themed, we kind of went with more greens and whites, and I think we left out in some reds and things like that. So that's something you might want to keep in mind. If you are doing a themed one, you can try to have more color of that theme, so you might want to leave off like a yellow for this or something like that. So that's another thing to keep in mind.
And I totally always forget this. Since this is a wreath, I like putting a bunch of fresh herbs on it so it looks kind of like the greenery on a wreath. And I was like, Leah, I always forget to put it on first, which is okay, because I mean, I've done it, where I set out everything else and then I remember and I just put it along the edge. But it does work better if you put it on first, because then you can put kind of the meats and cheeses on top so it stays in place. So I'm just gonna rinse off my herbs. And this is actually kind of fun because it's a mixture of rosemary, sage, and thyme. It's a poultry blend. So I got that one because I thought it would be fun to kind of have some variety. So I'm gonna rinse those off and then set them along the edge of my board.
And then some other items that we have for this, we have some craisins, which is just dried cranberries that we're gonna fill in a little bit here. And then some green olives we're gonna add as well, which have a nice touch of red and green, so that's kind of fun. And I think we're gonna add some peanuts to this one, just for some more texture.
And the herbs are honestly just kind of for looks. Just for color, and so it looks kind of like a wreath. A lot of people will not eat them. I have had people that have asked me if they could eat them, and I've said, of course, but they're probably not gonna get eaten. So if there is something that you don't wanna spend money on that's a part of your board, this is really just aesthetic. So if you are gonna splurge on something, I always tell people to splurge on the meats and cheeses.
Definitely.
So I'm just setting these all around the edge, and you could set them in the middle circle as well. You can kind of leave some if you want to fill in later, whatever you prefer, but I'm just gonna kind of lay them out all along the edge here.
Do you like these ones on the vine or off?
Yeah, I do. Okay, so I guess you can see what that looks like. I just laid it out all along the edge. And so then the next thing I'm gonna do is work on our bigger part, which is the meat. And I'm gonna show you how to make a rose with salami. So all you need to do, it's actually really easy, is get a small glass. I use a shot glass, but if you have just a small glass, you can use that. And I wanna say that this specifically is a shot glass from Library of Congress, and it says, "I can't live without books." So we have very themed items here today. But basically, all you're gonna do is grab some salami, and some salami has bigger slices than others. So a good rule of thumb is about 10 to 12 slices is what you're gonna use for this. But basically, you just put the salami over the edge, kind of fold it in half over the edge, and you're just gonna overlap them all the way around. So, and then it just kind of is layered. So I'm just kind of putting them all the way around the edge and layering them.
I think this one is really cool because it's like, it looks really impressive, but it's very easy to do. So these are really fun little touch to add.
And you can make them any size you want. These, I think, are just a really good general size with the small glass and about 10 to 12 pieces. But if you want to use a really big rimmed glass, you can. And you can use a lot of salami. And I'm also going to show you how to make kind of a smaller rose with a different method. So you can also do that too. You can make them really any size. But this method is really nice because it's easy to take a piece of salami off. And you'll find a lot of people don't want to mess up the rose. And so, which I totally get because it looks really pretty. But the whole point is you want people to eat it. So I like doing it this way because even if you take a piece off, it still looks pretty nice. So it's more approachable. But I'll show you another way too that you can also do. And I kind of lost count of them. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So, you know, measure with your heart. But there also gets to a point where you can't fit anymore. So I'm just going to put a couple more on. Okay. And it's very simple. All you're going to do is just put it on the board where you want it to be, flip it over, and then take off your little shot glass. So it's really cute. And like I said, it's really easy to just grab one off the top. So I'm going to work on making a couple of these. Do you want to do it?
Sure.
Okay.
Yeah, then you can move on.
And I'm going to put about 3 on my board. I'm going to put 2 over here and 1 over here. And I just know the layout that I want to do because I've made this before. I've practiced it. But there's no rhyme or reason. You can do it any way you want. You can put 1 rose. You can put a whole thing of roses. It's whatever you want to do. It's fun because this is just kind of a way to be creative. So there's my first rose. And then I'm going to add some cheese because that's another big part. So I'm just going to stick it on the side over here. And another nice thing is that if there are empty spaces on your board at the end, I have lots of stuff to kind of fill in, like the nuts or olives, even the craisins. So I just kind of like to get the big things on the board and then fill in at the end. And I kind of like it when the whole board is covered, but other people like it when you can see some of the pretty board. So it's kind of whatever your preference is.
We'll talk a little bit more about it later, but something like this, you're going to want to cover the whole thing because the underneath part is kind of ugly. But with this one, you do have the pretty board, so it kind of would make sense if you leave some of it showing. So it is just about preference and what you're working with.
And something that we've seen that we'll talk more about later. You put a lot. I love it.
I wasn't sure if it was too many or not.
No, it's great.
Okay.
Put over here. Some people with the tree, because they don't want it to show, they'll put like kale or different leaves on it. And you could do that with this board too. You could cover the whole bottom layer with kale or with some green leaves, some spinach, just to make it look more like a wreath if you want to. So yeah, that's there. And another big part is going to be like your fruits. So I'm going to put just a little bunch of some green grapes over here. And you can also do a mixture of purple and green if you want to add more color. You can take them off the stem, but I kind of like the way they're contained on the stem because this board is not very big, so I usually will leave them on the stem for this board. And then to have some contrast, I'm going to put some dried cranberries on there as well. I want it over here.
Next to it? Or away?
Yeah, no,
I'm so
next to
sorry.
it. And you could also get like some cherries if you wanted to have kind of more of a red. You could get cranberries. A lot of people don't eat raw cranberries because they're very tart. So I kind of like the dried ones because they're more sweet. But if you wanted to do cherries, you wanted to do the purple grapes, whatever your preference is, just to add some more color on there. And then I have a fig jam that I'm going to put in this little bowl here. And So that is just something you can buy at Fry's. They have a whole, like, really great section of charcuterie stuff at Fry's. They have a whole big trough full of
the
cheese.
cheese trough, as I like to call it.
Yeah, and lots of meats. They have lots of spreads. So definitely go check out the Fry's right here off of Idaho and the Trail, because they have a lot of really good stuff to offer. Okay, so now I'm gonna add my crackers next, because that's a big piece. I don't like to add them too early because I don't want them to get soggy, because sometimes the cheeses or the spreads, or if there's a little water on your grapes, can get on the crackers. So I like to add those not at the end, because they are kind of big, but I like to wait a little while. So for this, I'm doing 2 different types of crackers to have some contrast, some dark ones and some light ones. So these are my really dark cracker, and these are a fig olive cracker that are really yummy. So I'm having these on there for kind of some contrast with the dark color, and they're also very crunchy. So my other crackers are a lighter color, and they're more of a general cracker, like a usual crunch, but these are very crunchy. So just some contrast for you. So I'm gonna lay some of those out. And again, if you need to add more onto your board as the night goes on, that's totally okay. Some people ask us if it's okay to like leave the board out throughout the night, and that is something to kind of be cognizant of because there's meat and cheese on it. So I like to leave them out for a little while, but if it gets later into the night, I would put it in the fridge because we don't want anything to go bad. And I always try to save anything off the board afterwards for snacks.
Yeah.
It's a really good like lunch just to have like cut cheeses and meats, so I try to save everything. These ones I did get at Fry's, and I know they have them at Safeway. These crackers that I'm going to talk about next are really cute because they're shaped like Christmas trees, and I actually got them at Safeway. So check out Safeway for them. But they're very cute. They look like little Christmas trees. So adds more fun to the board. So I'm just going to put a handful of those on here. And you might need like serving utensils depending on your group. If it is kind of finger food, so if people want to just grab it with their fingers, as long as you feel comfortable with that, they can do that. But if you would rather have little tongs, little spoons or forks, little toothpicks, you can definitely do that as well.
And we've talked about at like Party City or like the 99-cent store, you can get like miniature serving utensils. It's just like forks and spoons. So those can work really good for something like this as well.
Can I borrow some salami to make the other rose?
That's what this is.
Oh, that's what it's for. So I mentioned making another type of rose. So we also do it another way where we just lay out the salami. Can you guys see that? Just in a line. And sometimes you can take it out of the pack and it's already like that. And you can just fold it in half. I probably don't even need this many. And then you just roll it up. And that's kind of more of like a little rose bud. So you can do that too, but people are going to be less willing to take it when you do it that way. And sometimes I'll even stick a toothpick in it just to kind of keep it together because it does come apart depending on how much salami you have on there. But then I just kind of stick it in there next to the other one. So I would say less than 10.
It was probably about 4 or 5.
Yeah, something like that.
So we have done ones that are big. They're almost this big where we use the full row that's probably got more like 10 or 12, maybe even close to 15. But they get to be this big. And like she said, people don't like to eat them. So this one is small enough that people feel like it's okay to just take it and eat it. So that one I would suggest more so or doing it this way. The other ones look really pretty because they're very full and they're, like I said, about similar to that size. But they just don't usually get eaten. So do that and either plan to eat it yourself or something else.
Yeah.
Did you have a question?
Can you cut those in half? I've seen it on someplace online where they cut those in half, and so you've got like twice as many. Does that
You probably could. The one I just showed that I rolled it up.
Right, your yellow board there.
So I did fold it in half.
Yep.
So
You could.
when I do that, I think that it stays together well when you fold it in half. But I'm sure you could just cut it, because it's, it kind of sticks together. So I bet you could do that, yeah. I think that that would definitely be okay. Okay, so are these the ones you want me to use?
Either one, you can use either. I'm good with
I don't know.
whatever you feel like.
Well, maybe I'll use these.
Okay.
So now I'm just going to kind of spend time filling in. We have a lot of our space used already, but I'm just going to fill in some of these empty spots with some of my green olives. And of course, you can use any olive you like. You can use dried fruit. You can use nuts. Anything that you like to fill in is going to be good.
I like the Kalamata olives. Those are like the Greek ones. I think those are really good. And of course, black olives. Those are always an option too. But anything works really.
These are fun, like Leah mentioned, because it's the red and the green for holiday. But of course, you should use what you like, because this is something you're eating. I do like to encourage people to put something new on every board that maybe you haven't tried before. Like, get a new weird kind of cheese. They have so many cheeses at Fry's. I saw some yesterday that had cranberries in them, that have chocolate in them, apricots. Some of them are spicy. So
And one thing we always like to talk about, when you go to Fry's, they have the little white informational signs about what kinds of cheeses are on it, or are in the little trough there. If you look at it closely, there's a little animal. It's either a goat, a sheep, or a cow, and that's actually what kind of animal that cheese is made from. So that's kind of something that's interesting and kind of a helpful thing. Just one of the boards we did, we tried to get one of each, just to kind of have a variety on that. So that's kind of a fun thing to keep in mind as well.
yeah, we like the variety of that as well. The goat, smoked cheese, and cow and sheep, which is something very minute, but it's just kind of fun if you want to do all different things.
And if you're trying to try something new, that's a great way to do it, because chances are you've rarely to never had sheep cheese, right?
And the cool part about the boards also is that if people just take some pieces off and put it on their plate and they don't like it, they probably only took like 2 pieces. So it's not really a big deal. It's a good chance to try something new and not feel bad if you don't like it. So I always encourage people to try new things with these. So I'm just filling in any last little bits with some nuts. I'm just using some peanuts because it's what we had in our pantry, but any nut would be a good addition to this board. You could add cashews, you could add like a mixed nut, some dried fruit and nut mixtures. We've even seen ones before where they have like yogurt covered nuts. Those are really good.
Or like the yogurt covered pretzels. I really like those.
So anything that you like can be added to this. So this is just kind of your chance to be creative and add stuff wherever you want. But you do run out of space at a certain point, and I think I may have gotten to that point. So I think we're going to be done. But anyway, so this is kind of what it looks like. And like we said, you can add anything you like. You can replenish it throughout the night. But this is just kind of gives you an idea of something you can do with a, I don't know, with a board like this. And if you don't have a wreath board, you can just use a round board. If you want to make it look like a wreath, that would still be great. You could put a bowl in the middle of dip or something, so then make the wreath around it. Their possibilities are really endless. So yeah, here's our first board.
Yeah. All right, so next we'll move on to our Christmas tree. So we start with this. This is just a, what do they call them? A foam, flora foam or something like that. We got it at Hobby Lobby. I'm sure that you could get it many places, probably Michael's or any craft store really. They sell big ones that are like probably this big, and then smaller ones that are probably like this big. So you can just get any size that you want for your tree. I wrapped this in saran wrap just because we don't want our food to touch the foam part, because it can shed and kind of get in the food, and that's not good. Like Megan said earlier, I've done it where we've used kale, and we layered it with kale and just like stuck toothpicks in it to hold that down. You could use anything like that. Leafy and green would work. But if you don't have anything else, you could use a saran wrap. Even tinfoil would be okay. You just want something between your food and the piece. The next thing you want is going to be a plate or something to set it on, something as your base. That way it makes it easy to transport, because we're going to use toothpicks to hold everything on there. So once we do that, it's going to be really hard to grab and carry around and move and things like that. So we're going to just do this. And this one is kind of nice because with the saran wrap, it kind of helps stick it almost to that. So we'll do that. I'm going to push these forward a bit.
And something I should mention, if you are transporting this, because a lot of times you might be bringing this to somebody's party, it is something to think about before you start. Because the best way that I've found to transport one like this is to lay out tinfoil on the counter in a really big sheet and put the board on top, build the board, and then wrap the tinfoil on top. And when you get there, you'll have to fix it a little bit, but I think that's the best way to transport it. If you had a huge Tupperware, that would also be great. I don't have one that this will fit in. But the tinfoil is helpful. For something more like this, you might want to build it at the party.
You're probably going to want to build it at the party, yeah. It would just be really hard, or have somebody on tree duty that's sitting in the back seat guarding it, you know. But it just might be a little bit difficult. So I would suggest putting everything in little Tupperwares, prep everything, kind of like I did here, cut your cheeses, get everything ready, and then just show up that way and put it together. So that's what would be better probably for this one. Okay, so for this, what we're going to do is we're basically going to start at the top, and we're just going to make little spirals, like you saw from those pictures, I'm sure, and we're just going to take, let's just say the cheese, and we'll start here and make one line of cheese. And we're going to kind of just keep doing that with all of our ingredients for this one. So I'm going to use the green olives. I'm going to use some yellow cheese. I also have a mozzarella pearls. So these will just be the little balls. Maybe.
No.
Yeah, maybe. I can't get that one. We're going to use cherry tomatoes. So put over our cords. The goal with this one is to have a lot of different colors. So you don't want too many of the same colors, but you want to have the variety still. So this is a good way to do that. And I'm going to rinse these too.
And we also are kind of using round things or square things and trying to keep the shape really uniform, and that helps with the overall look once we get to the end. So that's why we specifically got the little balls of mozzarella, and Leah cut the cheese into little cubes. So we're trying to keep that theme going.
All right. I think those look good.
Do you want me to pour them in there?
Oh, those, yeah.
Yeah?
Go ahead.
Okay.
Oops. Okay, so what we'll do is we'll just start, excuse me, pardon my reach. We'll just start with this, and then we will get your cube, put it on the toothpick, and then that's just gonna go right in there like that. So the thing you wanna keep in mind is for these, a lot of times people will take the whole toothpick to take it, which is fine. Sometimes people take it off, but just be careful because this is going to get really pokey. So just make sure that if there's kids around or something, no one's getting stabbed with a toothpick. That would be dangerous. And then we'll just kind of continue on like that. So.
And you can use frilly toothpicks if you want to make it a little more fun. You can use ones that have a fun topper on them, whatever you want to do to make it more festive.
Yeah. And then what we'll do is we'll just have the cheese like this, probably stab it a little bit more. And then that will go next in line like that. Oops. And be careful that you're not coming out the other side. That's what just happened to me there. So careful of that. You probably want to go more so like a down thing. Want to do the mozzarella? Or
Sure.
Okay.
We're going to work on this together and just kind of keep our lines close to each other so you can't see a lot of the tree. So make sure you're close to the person, you're friends with the person, because this is a close-knit job here where you're putting cheese on a tree together.
And you probably can do more than I'm doing since they're smaller.
Okay. And you can add more later. So if you notice that there's like spots, you can go back at the end and fill them in. So don't worry. These look kind of like marshmallows to me.
Yeah, they kind of do.
Which would also be fun. If you wanted to make like a sweet one, you could have candies, you could have marshmallows. So the possibilities with stuff like this are really endless. And this is kind of time consuming.
Yeah,
so
this one is.
make sure you do this before the party. Don't start right when the party's supposed to start, because it will take a little time, but it's like a showstopper, I would say. I went to Leah's party where she made one of these and everybody came in and they were like, oh. So it's a really special thing to add to your holiday party.
It's kind of unique, you know, too. That you're not going to see it everywhere, so.
Except after this class you will, because you're all going to go to parties and have them. No.
No, you're good. Ooh, catching on that.
Leah, do you think you could cut the toothpicks in half if you wanted to?
I think you could, yeah. You just want to make sure there's enough for either people to grab it or that they're pushed in enough that people know they just need to take the cheese off of that. So either way you want to do it would be fine. I was going to say another good reason to have like the kale or something underneath is for the gaps. It kind of allows, if something is shining through or coming through, it's that pretty green, like a leafy kale is a great color to see. And then, because you're not going to be able to get these always side by side. And I have another thing I'm going to talk about to help with that too. But it would just be another added bonus that kale's behind it.
Have you ever lit one of these trees, Leah? Put lights on it?
I have not. That might be a little dangerous.
Well, maybe around the plate or something we should do.
Yeah. You could get like some battery-powered lights and put it around the bottom. That would be cute.
That might be a better plan. Yeah. That's what these are. Yeah. I'm sorry. Yeah, these are little tiny mozzarella balls. But you're right. Yeah, it's a great idea. And you could make kind of like a caprese one where you put like folded up basil and the mozzarella and then tomatoes, have some balsamic on the side.
It would be good.
So many possibilities.
So with this, you want to get as close to the bottom as you can, just because it'll make it look nicer. You don't have to do that, but I think it will be nicer in the end. So.
Okay, so this is what it's starting to look like. I'm going to finish up my mozzarella.
So what we'll do next is I'm going to go ahead and start on the tomatoes, and then Megan can do the olives next. Usually you have to end up doing more than one row of each thing just because of the space here. And of course you've got things like the tomatoes are going to take up a little bit more space than those probably. So that's, just kind of go in line. Oh, I lost what I was going to say next. That's okay. We'll get there. Oh, that's what it was. I like to make sure that the colors aren't next to each other. So if you have, that doesn't sound normal. What I mean, the same colors next to each other. So if you do happen to have like maybe two different kinds of olives or something like that, and they're similar in color, maybe separate them. So you would do the other olive over here and one over here, so it's not the same color right in a line. Like before when I did it, I had a white cheese, like a pepper jack or something, and so that one was just really similar to the mozzarella. So you don't want to do too much of the same color next to each other. Just kind of separate it to make it look better.
And you also want to be careful that you're not putting too many heavy things at the top and not the bottom. Like, make sure you hold on to it while you're working on the top because you don't want it to tip over. That's something I'm worried about. But we are going to make a topper for our tree as well at the end. So we'll keep that in mind. And if you have a bigger tree, you can do multiple layers, like a pattern. You can do yellow, white, red, green, and then start over again. Put the yellow cheese again and do the pattern.
Yeah.
So depending on how big or small your tree is, you can just keep going with your pattern.
Is it hitting the other toothpicks maybe? Okay, so as I start to turn it, you'll be able to start seeing it a little more. I think I missed a spot there. I need to put another cheese in. It's definitely getting like side heavy on this one side here.
But it's looking cute.
And another thing that you might want to do is do like, maybe get the larger green olives so they're closer to the same size as the tomato. It might kind of help balance it out too.
And make sure you don't get sliced olives because that will really mess up your, your tree here. That'll take even longer. Okay. Do you want to show them salami?
What?
Salami? Do you want to do
Oh,
that?
yeah. Okay, so we're also going to put some salami on here. So what we're going to do is, obviously the salami is really big. So how we're going to do that is I'm just going to take it, fold it in half this way, and then again, so I'm making it a little bit of a quarter there. And then I'll take my toothpick and stick it in the side that way. And then I can put it in, oops, sorry. So now it's getting complicated. Put it in this way. So they do definitely take up a bit more space, so you kind of have to work around that. You could either fold it one more time, that might help it a little bit too, to fit in the space that you have. Because the one I did before was a bigger one, so it might make more sense to do that way. And then just line it up.
And you can overlap them
Yeah.
a little bit if you need to save space. I've seen this idea this year for Christmas where instead of gingerbread houses, people are making charcuterie chalets. And it's like a little, like a gingerbread house, but it's made of charcuterie stuff. And like they'll bake almost like a pizza kind of dough instead of the gingerbread to make the little sides of the house. And then they cover it with like cream cheese. Spreadable cream cheese, and then they stick salami and cheese cubes and all different stuff. The salami would be really good like tiles for the roof.
Yeah.
So definitely search charcuterie chalet and see what comes up because I've seen some really cute stuff. I've seen like, the little like bread sticks, like the little crispy ones that they've made like a log cabin with them. Clearly, this is what comes up on my social media because this is what I really like. But there's lots of really fun ideas. With charcuterie, you can come up with so many things.
And things like that, it would be fun to have like a contest, where then everybody can vote on which one they like the best or something like that. That would be really fun.
Where did the word charcuterie come from?
That's a great question.
Great question.
Isn't it a French word?
It's a French word, and it literally just means deli.
Yeah.
Right?
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
How about just the old-fashioned antipasta?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, that's true too.
Definitely, yeah.
I know the charcuterie refers more to like the meat and cheese part of it instead of like the pickled things, because a lot of times antipasta is like olives and stuff like that. But yeah, artichokes.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you could definitely put those on your board. Something when you're putting like pickled things or like marinated things like olives or like artichoke hearts, you might want to put those, if you're putting them on a board, in a little bowl, because if there's a lot of like juice on them, it can get the other stuff on your board soggy. So the olives aren't as big of a deal, but things like the artichoke hearts or like marinated mushrooms,
Yeah.
I recommend putting those in a little bowl. Keeps them kind of contained.
So something interesting about this is a normal charcuterie, you usually do have that bowl filled with dips or sauces or other things. And with one like this, obviously there's no place for that. So what you can do is either have something on the side that would be a little bit separate, where you're going to have like an array of dips or sauces that you might want to add to it. Or you can just leave it off and say, we're not doing that today. That's okay too, you know? But that's just something to keep in mind. And also there's no, you're not really gonna wanna do breads or crackers or anything like that on the tree, because it just doesn't make sense, you know? So I'm gonna show you in a little bit. I do have some crackers, and I have a way that I do kind of incorporate the crackers, because you do want something with it, but you might not be able to have like everything, you know? Like with this one, you're gonna have the options. You're gonna want that variety of 3 different breads or crackers. With something like this, you're probably gonna wanna keep it a lot more simple and just have one thing on the side, something like that. So.
Due to the fact that people are trying to take it off, have you ever thought about, I know it sounds weird, but maybe to hot glue that to a plate or duct tape it and then cover it with doilies or something?
Yeah,
You
definitely. The only thing is you're going to want to not, you know, have something throw away or something like that, that you're going to glue it to or attach it.
I thought a solid plate, which,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
exactly.
That's a good
exactly.
idea.
Anything.
Or a Goodwill plate that you picked up.
Exactly, yeah. That's a great thing to bring up, because at the party that I did this at, it was pretty hard. We were like, and it gets a little tippy and stuff. So it's a great idea to kind of secure it down in some way.
Duct tape and cover.
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
yeah.
And then, like you said, the doilies down or something would be a great way. That's a very good idea. To save time, I don't think we'll go ahead and do all of this. We'll just kind of show you the one side. Once you get to a point like this, there's a couple things to add. First of all, I want to show you my topper. What we're going to do, if you have cookie cutters and a big chunk of cheese, we did like a star. And so, but what we'll do, I'm just going to kind of make it up this time. So let's see how good I can make a star. This might be kind of wonky, but we'll
Do you
see.
want me to put the crackers out? Or do you want me to wait?
Yeah, maybe this way a second.
Okay. What about an angel? Can you do an angel?
Ooh.
No, I'm just kidding.
I don't think I'm that skilled.
yeah. I'm just kidding.
Did I do this backwards? Oh, no, I want to.
You're doing great.
Oh, yeah, you're right. That's a good idea.
Should I add another layer?
Sure, go ahead while you're doing it. Okay. I think I've got this sort of. I am not a very good artist, so this is not. I should have let you do this.
No. You could even get like a toothpick. Like they have toppers that are like stars. At Hobby Lobby, we saw some that were like gingerbread men, Christmas trees. What was the other one we saw? Oh, yeah. If you have some little pick, you could definitely add that on top, so then you
Okay.
wouldn't have to.
Well, I broke it, but we're
That's
gonna
what
pretend.
toothpicks are for.
Yeah. There we go. So what we're gonna do is we'll just kind of stick it in the top like this. Well, we'll make that one up as we go. Okay. And then just stick it right down and go as far as you can. And your other leg would theoretically be on there.
Oh, sorry. I was gonna. Do you want to put it in there?
I don't think it'll stay. Just
Oh no! I'm making it stick out the top. I messed it up. It was me. It wasn't Leah. It was me. Yeah. That's the thing. Tell people that they have to eat that
Okay,
first.
so then there's your star. And then the other thing, I got tarragon just because I like the way it looks, but again, you can get any herb or anything. And what we'll do with this is we'll just fill in some of those spaces with this. And you don't even have to pin this in or like stick it in. You can just literally let it sit in there with in between like your tomatoes and things. And then it makes it a little tree leafy too, which is kind of fun.
And rosemary would also be
Oh,
a good
I think rosemary is
herb, I
actually
think.
what I had done before. Yeah.
And anything would look good, but I feel like that one would also make
So
sense.
then you can kind of, like that one cheese spot that I missed right in here, you can kind of just stick that in there, and then it kind of covers up that as well. Oh my goodness, this cord is tangling me up. Okay. Kind of like that. Adds a little touch there.
Yay!
All right. So does anybody?
Cracker?
Oh, my crackers! I'm so sorry. Those. Yeah, you want to straighten that up. What we'll do with these ones is then we'll just put this around the bottom down here and fill those in, and then it kind of covers if there is any spaces or anything
no.
at the bottom.
And Leah got these kind of triangle crackers, so they're kind of like a tree, and you can kind of lay them out so it looks like a pretty fan around it.
If you have a bigger plate or something, those will kind of just go around the base of that, and then you've got incorporated your tree into that part too, or your cracker.
So people can grab a cracker, grab a cheese,
Yeah,
grab a meat.
just kind of like that. So that's not too bad.
Yeah!